Zoom. Hey guys, good morning, it's me and I've got progress. Let's see the progress, thanks. So I'm continuing work on stuff that gives more clarity to battles and will allow me to actually make battles interesting in the future. What I've done today is I've added these little summary windows that we had drafted up here. You can see that as I hover to attack the imp, he's quite simple. He's a part of the demon family and he's a part of the weapon wielders family, so that stuff will give you clues on how best to take down this kind of enemy. For instance, if they're both of these enemies wield weapons here, so if you had abilities that disarm or corrupt weapon wielders, then this is kind of a hint that they might be worth a try. And being in the demon family has implications, maybe positive implications, like demons maybe are more resistant to dark elemented magic, and weaknesses in that they might be more susceptible to holy, for instance. And then you can see as I hover over the coral guard, he's a member of the fishies family, the weapon wielders as well, and he's got a third alignment that's meant to be tough skin. None of these alignments do anything just yet, but they are displaying. And the coral guard has a lot more information. You can see I've got like I had planned, I've got icons that reflect the strengths of the enemy. So what this information is telling you is that this enemy has quite a lot more life, attack damage and attack defense than maybe the other enemies you find in the same area. Whereas the imp doesn't really specialize in anything. He's kind of a bit of a dud. So since he has high defense but no signs of high magic resist, you combine that knowledge with maybe aquatic enemies are weak to lightning, then you can kind of figure out based on your game knowledge how you could take down this enemy. So that's what I've done. I'm just displaying this stuff. You'll see that as I attack this guy, the information actually persists even as I'm selecting the next guy's command, and it won't update until I go and hover over another enemy. And it's intentional in the fact that I haven't dealt with it yet, but it's not something I initially planned. But I see no reason to change this, because it could still be helpful information, especially against like a single big boss who you won't be changing targets against very often. I'm happy to keep that floating there for now unless I figure out something better. So you'll see that as I hit attack, it'll only update when I'm hovering over something else. Great, what I'm going to do next, and what will close off this video I think, is I want to actually reflect, I want to attach some properties to these alignments, which I'm calling families, so that like demons take extra damage from light, for instance. I want to start on that. That requires a bit of work on the combat, splitting damage types up into elements, which I haven't done yet. And I want to see how I can, what I'll do with maybe the damage numbers themselves. I was thinking changing colors based on the element of the damage, and then if you actually hit one of the enemy's weaknesses, seeing what kind of number effect I can do, or seeing what effect I can do to communicate that information. So I'll see what I can do and then I'll get back to you. Peace. Hi, I'm back. I've done a little bit more. I'll go ahead and show. So the key thing I've done is I've given elemental properties to the commands, so that say if I attack, the number will still pop up as a normal almost white color, but for an elemental spell such as flame, I'll hit it here, you can see it's orange, so that the damage number reflects the element that's hitting. Shock will be like a yellow. All of the colors I'm using are right here. Obviously I just whipped them up pretty quick. One tough thing was distinguishing physical from holy, because they're both kind of almost whites. Physical's got a little bit of orange in it, and the holy is like a very light blue. I can barely see the difference with my monitor and how strong I have flux on right now and how late it is. But it doesn't seem like much changing the colors, but it required me to expand the stored properties I have in my commands. So in command list you can see that it now requires an element and an attack type. Attack types are just split between attack and spell for now, which depends whether you're using your weapon for the damage calculation or you're using the power of the spell. Most of the actual numbers don't work properly yet because I haven't done proper calculations. Flame Flame 2 and Flame 3 have some dummy values here which represent their spell power, but most of it's still just 1. And yeah, I was hoping to also start on the elements versus the enemy families that we had here, so you know, lightning doing more to the fish family for instance, but I'll probably do that next. I've done enough for today. Another thing I was kind of working on that you might have noticed is with the showing of the enemy's strengths. You can see I've tried a new tactic here where they kind of stack up a bit the same, but this result doesn't look very good. See, versus like a simple one, I gave him some curves so that they show higher health and defense. Don't like the look of that. Another idea I could do is, because what I'm trying to alleviate here is that when the command window's up, there's not that much space to display these, and if I wanted to show off complicated enemies, there may be spatial problems, but I'm not sure yet, so I'm kind of just playing around with it. Another idea is that the icons themselves I could have smaller, and they could be across 2 rows here, and then maybe if there's enough of, like, say the health one, then they combine to form a bigger one, or I could use varying colors, something like that. But yeah, it's whatever. I'll probably reverse this. Not too worried about it just yet. And the way the enemy decides how many of these little icons to show is actually done automatically when I give the enemies their stat curves. So I went through this before. These curves they go through each of the stats that I want to influence, which is just health, MP, strength, def, mag, resist, and speed. And enemies in the same area, which means they have the same monster level, the curves determine their growth. So typically the Coral Guard enemy with a growth of 2.4 for maximum health, you can expect it to have 2.4 times the health of a standard enemy there. When I'm creating the curves, I'm also determining based on a little calculation how many of those icons should be drawn. The way I have it here is that for every 0.4 above 1 that they have, they get one of the icons. So yeah, that's all I've done. I'll cut it there. Yeah, have a good one, guys. I'm done. Peace.